Hey everybody, it's Randall, and I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about something that happened on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Something I found just disappointing. And no, we're not going to talk about Kellyanne Conway's idiotic comparison of what Donald Trump is going through with the impeachment to the struggles for civil rights that Martin Luther King went through. No, we're going to talk about an injustice that's a little bit more graver and even more unacceptable. Now you have to keep in mind to leapfrog Kellyanne Conway in misguidedness and just plain out doing the wrong thing. It's a hell of a leap, all right. That's just something I don't think has ever been calculated to be in a possibility. But both PBS and History Channel, yeah, they managed to do it. They managed to do it because on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, their networks were devoid of anything about the man. At least on July 4th, HBO on one of their million HBO networks that they have will run the John Adams miniseries. Why the History Channel felt that they could not sort of uh, disrupt their normal programming for a day. Okay, who cares about American Pickers? American Pickers is another one of these lame reality TV shows that are totally devoid of any intellectual capacities. All right, PBS could have easily put on a documentary about Martin Luther King Jr. and they opted not to. They stuck with regular programming, and I find that disturbing. Okay, and I find that as an insult to Martin Luther King Jr. that these two networks, well, one network, one viewer supported entity like PBS could not bring themselves to disrupt their normal programming to honor perhaps the greatest civil rights leader in America in the last 100 years. You know, it just boggled my mind. And I felt what Kellyanne Conway said was sort of the biggest insult as well. We tend to look upon historical figures and view them more through the prism of myth than fact. You know, the other point about Kellyanne Conway not knowing what she was talking about when she tried to compare what Donald Trump is going through with the impeachment trial to what Martin Luther King Jr. went through. Donald Trump is not getting death threats, okay? Donald Trump's not getting anybody who's taking a gun to him. Donald Trump has never been labeled as a public enemy. J. Edgar Hoover, the conservative darling, once labeled Martin Luther King Jr. as a communist and a public enemy. Martin Luther King Jr. gave his own life. So this a group of people that were treated so badly and were once considered property and were once considered not even a full person as far as the United States Constitution was concerned. He wanted to make sure they had equal rights. Donald Trump takes refugees and sticks them in cages. Martin Luther King spoke of nonviolence. Donald Trump, he's going to bomb the hell out of Iran's historical and religious buildings and artifacts. He's going to go after those pillars of their society. Martin Luther King Jr. was able to talk down Stokely Carmichael from the extreme radical events that he wanted to put forth. Martin Luther King Jr. was a great man, a very great man. In fact, I would consider him the most important figure of the 20th century. And Kellyanne Conway had the nerve to compare Trump to him. Just as on the day where we honor Martin Luther King Jr., not a single network, not PBS, not History Channel, no one aired specials in his honor. That was just as insulting. So we need to start speaking up. We need to make sure that this doesn't happen next year. We need to make our voices heard. Martin Luther King Jr. is too great of a man to be forgotten on the very day he is to be honored. And yeah, people can roll out the tribute videos, and we can all say great things on Twitter. But for not one special of him to air this past Monday, it's not acceptable. Not acceptable at all. And we did Martin Luther King Jr. a great disservice by letting it happen. Those are my thoughts. You have a great day and a better tomorrow.